Welcome to Stand and Deliver. On tonight's show, all the way from Australia, Steve Hughes, magnificent Stewart Lee, but we'll start off with Ireland's own Eleanor Tiernan.
My comedy has been compared to orienteering. Yeah, in that we do lose a few people along the way. And it often ends with me having a piece of paper going, I swear to fuck this made sense when I wrote it. I'm going to do some poetry for you now. So the first poem I'm going to do for you, it's a poem about my mother, and this poem is called Ode to My Mammy. Stop criticising me! Thank you. That's that one? Yeah. Here's another one, and this one is based on an event that happened in Galway to me. Mitching off a physics class to go swimming with your friends. And when you jumped off a really high bridge, the upward force of the displaced water caused the tampon inside you to work its way into your womb, and it took you 22 hours to get the fucking thing out. That one's called Learning Archimedes' Principle the Hard Way. So I miss the Celtic Tiger, folks. I miss it. I grew up in rural Ireland, and it was quite an inhibited place. And I feel that during the Celtic Tiger, I was able to lose my inhibitions in a way that I never had before. For example, there was 1 week during the Celtic Tiger where I got 2 taxis. Yeah. Both times the taxi driver was black. Yeah. I got into the second one. I said, "Well, is it yourself?" No, but you see, it turns out it was 2 completely different black men that didn't even know each other. Or Nelson Mandela. That's why I like to do comedy, because I get to say things like that. You get to say things, that you wouldn't ordinarily get to say in a conversation. Here's the thing you can't say at a dinner party. You can say what you like about Larry the paedophile, but he had a lovely singing voice. Fondler of children he may be, but when he hits that high C, there isn't a dry eye in the house. I teach kids, I teach maths to children after school, and one of them recently said to me, my teacher saw you doing comedy, and she said that you weren't very funny. There are lots of jobs, that you can coast along in, folks. You can be the Minister for Finance in Ireland in an economic boom, fuck the whole thing up and still manage to become the Prime Minister. You can be in charge of a big oil company, the biggest oil company in the world, and make a huge environmental disaster and still walk away with a big pension. But you can't be a comedian if you're not funny. Now, I'm not complaining about that. I'm delighted I have a job, but you'll forgive me when I say that I got a little bit defensive with the child. And obviously what I wanted to say back to him was, well, if your teacher was any good at her job, I wouldn't be sitting here with you at 5 o'clock on a fucking Friday evening. But I didn't. I just took him outside and taught him Archimedes' Principle the hard way. Folks, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you. Good night.
I got to admit, when you grow up in a country as big as Australia, when you get to a country this small, it does play with your mind. You know what I mean? No, I'm not joking. Like, if you went to Australia, you'd go, what the hell is going on? And when you get here, and I saw that sign in Dublin going Belfast, 188 miles or something, I'm going, that's the other end. Is that a driveway or something? It is. It psychologically plays with your mind. Like, there's blokes in Australia that could mow Ireland. You know what I mean? It's like... and, yeah, you know. And so we'd go and do these shows in these villages with these other Irish comics, and we get to this village one year, and I'm with my mate, this Irish comic. I go, so what's it like here? He goes, oh, it's a bit inbred. I said, what? He goes, this area here, you know, it's a bit inbred. I go, well, how can you be inbred in a country this small, man? I mean, how lazy do you have to be? You can't get on your bike and go 20 minutes up the road to fuck someone off from your family. Well, you know, see, Australia, you know, where's the next town? 5,000 miles? Well, you fuck your mum. Fair enough. Well, I enjoyed it here. I grew up in Australia, and some of you probably been there. Some of you probably think you'd like to go there, and but I just didn't suit the place for various reasons, stuff like that. And I was always interested in heavy metal music, and which you just don't really get into in Australia. It's, you know, they like sport, they don't like heavy metal. So I wanted to come to Europe, and I love heavy metal. I played in bands for years. I like heavy metal and black metal, thrash metal, death metal, and Enya actually, which is. Yeah, man. Which everyone thinks is a bit of a joke, really. But, you know, most people haven't listened to Slayer for 8 hours in one day. And, yeah, you get up to that type of nonsense, you do need something to relax in the afternoon, you know. And I did that joke in London one night. This big English geezer, he stands up, he goes, I fucking hate Enya. You hate Enya? What are you talking about? George Bush is alive, man. I mean, if you're going to hate positively. You see? You hate Enya, mate. You get George Bush, Tony Blair, Condoleezza Rice, Dick Cheney, Henry Kissinger. You see, these are genocidal, kid-killing war criminals. And this is Enya. You know what I'm saying? Hate properly, mate. Hate demons. How the fuck do you hate Enya? It's just silence coloured in. You know? That's all it is. Pissed off at Enya. It's like hating a waterfall. Right? It's like looking at a flower open and go, that's fucking disgusting. Well, the whole world's turning weird as far as I'm concerned. I was on tour in the UK for about 3 months straight, so I was in hotels. Now, I don't know if this has happened in Ireland. For some reason, in England, they've decided now that, you know, we're not allowed to open the windows in hotel rooms anymore, right? And hotels, you know, they spin me out to begin with. Because for one reason, I've been in hotels for over 15 years now, being in bands and doing comedy, right? And you'd think that in this stage of human evolution, perhaps hotels would have worked out that if you're going to leave complimentary items in a bathroom, in a hotel, maybe a small tube of toothpaste and a disposable toothbrush, that would come in handy. But for some reason, from Helsinki to Tasmania, they're under the illusion that we all want to have a shower cap. You've been in hotels yourself. It's you know, a shower cap. If you've ever seen anyone in the car on the way to the airport going on holidays going, oh, fuck! What's wrong? I forgot my shower cap! I'm not going to Paris without the shower cap. Turn the car around. I'm not fucking going. Has anybody ever used the shower cap except to put over the smoke detector so you can enjoy yourself for 5 fucking minutes? Has anyone? Exactly. No. No one's used it. So I'm on the phone to my mate. He's Korean. He's a nutcase. He's always on the internet. So I'm having a bitch because I've been on the road for a year and I'm going a bit mental, right? So he's sitting there and I'm just whinging and he's on the internet. And he goes, oh, he's looking up trivia about hotels. Suddenly he goes to me, oh, it says here, Steve, someone's done a survey and I've come up with the statistic that apparently the most sperm-covered thing you'll find in a hotel room is the remote control. Don't blame me. I don't think it's true anyway, really. I mean, it's not the most sperm-covered thing in my hotel room. That's usually me. So, and you've been on the road a bit yourself, mate. And I don't know which men are in hotel rooms jerking off and then going, right, I better just clean this up. Stick that on the wall for later. That should come in handy. So yeah, I've been in hotels and they're sitting there. England, I don't know if they've started in Ireland, they've made some law up now. You can't open the windows, some kind of health and safety regulation that we can't be trusted as adults to be in a hotel and open the windows, right? And all the hotels in Great Britain, have, the windows that open like this, put little brackets in up here so that they go. And all the windows that slide up and down like this, they put bolts in like this. So you bring your window up to here, and this is how we all sit in our free country. Right? So all the people of England go on holidays now. And whenever I'm in the hotel in England, looking out the window like this, I'm always thinking to myself, it's a good thing we all fought the Nazis, isn't it? Huh? Do you reckon? It's a good thing England fought the Nazis, because, and beat the Nazis, because imagine if they hadn't beat the Nazis, it'd probably be like that, wouldn't it? And now they beat the Nazis, so we can have this. So I went downstairs, like you would, to the woman on the front desk. I said, why can't I open the window in the hotel room? She goes, you might kill yourself. I said, well, how bad is the fucking service? She goes, no, what if you decide to kill yourself? I said, well, why am I going to decide to kill myself? She goes, I don't know, what if you decide to kill yourself? I said, well, I'll probably go to the NCP car park where there's 9 stories of total concrete and it's free to get in. She goes, what if you decide to kill yourself here? Well, that's going to be a little difficult for me, because, I'm on the ground floor. Well, what if you fall out of the window? Well, I'll probably fucking get back up again, won't I? She goes, I don't make the laws, I don't make the rules, We don't want to find your body in the car park. I said, well, you probably shouldn't be worried about finding my body. I said, the fact that I'm sitting in a hotel room, I can't smoke, I can't open a window, I'm wearing a shower cap with a remote controls tucked to my chest. Maybe you should be worried about someone finding your body, shouldn't you? Yeah. Slumped over the front desk with a complimentary biro stuck in the back of your fucking head.
Join us after the break when we'll hear Stewart Lee say, the day Stewart Lee came to visit us. The day Stewart Lee came to visit us, he arrived in a shiny red open-top bus.
And if you look to your left, you can see Air Square, so called because of its square shape. Serves pints, shots, soft drinks, soup and sandwiches, and the best chance of a lock-in is usually of a Thursday. In the waiters are called fishermen, and they're after trout or salmon, which are in plentiful supply in the Colin. And have been Jesus, one of them has caught a swan. Look, he has a swan in the line. Only joking. Don't hurry, stop and wait. Look all around and listen. Before you cross the road, remember, let all the traffic pass you. Then walk in straight across.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Are there any Americans in tonight? Yes, no, who cares, never mind. Now, I used to love the Americans. I thought they were brilliant. But I've gone off them this year, the Americans, because of the Americans all ganging up on the little bloke from BP after that oil spill, you know. Seems unfair, all the Americans picking on the little bloke from BP, particularly when America is the largest consumer of oil per head in the world, and they seem angry with the bloke from BP for merely trying to provide them with the oil that they crave. Americans angry with the bloke from BP. It's like a furious customer punching a prostitute in the face because he's sickened by his own desire. Thank you for having me in your country. I live in Hackney, northeast London. Very stressful living in any big city, you know. Collapse of the infrastructure, lack of educational opportunity. A friend of mine, he had a little girl, and it turned out she was dyslexic. And they were worried about how she would thrive in the oversubscribed inner city London school system, so they sold up, and they left London, and they moved to the countryside. And the little girl went to school in the countryside, and she's grown up to be a racist. Who can spell. The most dangerous kind of racist. It's probably the same here. All the middle-aged couples and parents in the cities get stressed out and worry about quality of life, and they move to the countryside. Then they get to the countryside and they realise there's nothing to do in the countryside. Every day the same thing. They walk out of the house and they walk to the field behind the house. And they look at the horse that lives in the field behind the house. And they go, oh, there's the horse. He's over there. He was over there yesterday. Then they walk back to the house and they argue and argue and argue because there's nothing to do, and their marriage starts to unravel, and they look for some kind of distraction, but there isn't one because they live in the countryside. And in the countryside, you have to book 3 months in advance to get a table at Abracababra. I don't know what Abracababra is. At home in England, I say Bella Pasta for that joke. When I got here today, I asked a number of different Irish people what the funniest place to eat in Ireland was. They all said Abracababra. I don't know what's funny about Abracababra. I suspect that it tries to combine the mutually incompatible concepts of magic and rotating lamb. I hope you appreciate the effort I've gone to give that joke a local flavour and take it in the patronising spirit it was meant. But, no, it's terrible. People move to the country, there's nothing to do. There's no cultural life in the country towns, in the country. There's nothing like this, the Róisín Dubh. Nothing. All there is in the countryside, in the country towns, is a community hall. There's only one show on there all year. But despite that, they got a lottery-funded lighting rig the size of Croke Park. There's one show on all year in the community hall in the country town. And it's a visit from the brother-sister duo that won You're a Star. Whose act appears to consist of a tense and unconsummated incestuous display. There's nothing to do in the countryside, there's nothing. And the people that have moved to the countryside, they're ringing you up in the city, bored out of their minds. Come and stay, it'd be great to see you. Come for a night, come for a weekend, come for a week. There's a spare room you can have, there's 2 rooms, there's an outbuilding, we've had that converted, no one's used that. Come and stay, come and stay. There's loads to do. There's a community hall. There's loads of stuff on there. Actually, when you're coming, that brother-sister duo that won You're a Star, they're on. They are a brother and sister, I think. I know, yeah. Come and stay anyway. There's to eat. Well, there's an abracadabra, but you won't. Come and stay anyway in the countryside. It would be great, absolutely great to see you. Come and stay. Actually, and if you are coming, would you be able to? Could you bring some Coke? I have to admit, I thought about leaving London, moving to the countryside. I got a 2-bedroom flat in Hackney. It's gone up in value. I worked out I could have sold it and bought a house. Not in London, somewhere like North Wales or something. I saw this house advertised on the internet. I could have afforded it. Said it had a garden. I hadn't got a garden where I lived. Said it had a river running through the garden. I haven't got a river running through the garden. I haven't got a garden. You can't have a river without some containing land. That's just rain. At the bottom of the page, the estate agent had put, from the kitchen window, you can see otters. I thought, yeah, otters. That raises the bar, doesn't it? Where I live in Hackney, from my kitchen window, I can see rats. Rats are out of control in most major cities now. The park where I live, Old Victorian Park, I was walking through it November last year, and I saw a middle-aged, middle-class mum, about 40 years old, and a little girl, about 4 years old. And the little girl was feeding bread out of a brown paper bag to a mixture of ducks, pigeons, and rats. Yeah, the rats were coming up and going, is this allowed now? Have they changed? And I said to the woman, what are you doing? And she said, do you mind? I don't want her to grow up to be afraid of rats. I thought, we're supposed to be afraid of rats, aren't we? That's the point. It's built deep into our DNA. Flee the rats, run away so they don't piss Weil's disease into your eyes. And I wouldn't mind, but there's signs up all around the park saying, please do not feed the pigeons and ducks, as it encourages rats. And I thought, surely implicit within that is the suggestion, do not feed the rats, as it encourages rats, because they are rats. I'll leave you with a final thought. I was talking to my grandfather the other day. He's 95 years old. I said to him, Grandad, you are 95 years old. What, in your experience, has been the worst thing about growing so old? And he said to me, Stu, in my experience, the worst thing about growing so old has been watching all of the friends that I grew up with slowly dying off one by one. And I said to him, well, Grandad, you fed them those berries. Poisonous berries, the implication there. Thank you for having us. Cheers. Good night. Thank you.
If you look down from your bedroom window and you see a man in a straw hat pissing in your front garden, you can be guaranteed it's a culture.
I did actually see a little green man. I walked towards him and he just disappeared, and then I got run over.
If you're worried about being racist when there's no evidence that you have been, then you also make yourself vulnerable and susceptible to con men. Con men like Nelson Mandela.